All right, everybody, welcome back. Jarrell Solis coming to you from Confidence Pest Control. And man, I know it's only been like a day, just hours since I uploaded my last video, but I already got some comments, and honestly, I didn't have much to do this afternoon, so I just finished up with my last stop about 30 minutes ago. So you know what, man, really enjoying, and I know what it's like to be in the beginning stages I mean, I still am in the beginning stages of my pest control journey, but I remember being, before I'd even started, and a year, just when I was only a few months in, things like that, and how much I really enjoyed videos, and I couldn't wait for another one to come out and things like that. And so I know what it's like, and I had some time, and y'all are asking questions. If you're engaging, I want to engage back. I want to be able to help y'all. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I really hope that you're finding the value and that you're appreciating, or that you just enjoy, and find value. That's my biggest thing. Again, if there's anything else, y'all have any questions or comments, or anything that you want to hear about in particular, and it's something that I can't talk about. I mean, most of it, I mean, we're all going to be taking the same journey, but I mean, different journey, but it's along that same path, kind of. And so, if you have any questions, just let me know. And if it's something that I know about, I'll go, as in depth as I can about whatever the subject matter may be. To Dwight Carver, 1228, man. Hey, I appreciate you, brother, so much. I appreciate the support. Man, if there's anything else you want to know, let me know. Just put that in the comments. To Super Tenor Tucker, you asked earlier if I'd be willing to share how much I charge for property management customers and the various charges and how much my recurring and one times are, etc. Speedy Spears, I'd be interested in how you price my jobs and recurring services as well. Hey, well, this one's out to y'all right now. I'll go into that. But before I do, I just want to say, remember, pay attention to what market you're in. You're what I pay isn't the same or what I charge. It doesn't mean that, that's not even close to what you should be charging, depending on what you're at. I've heard of Arizona people paying quarterly services for, $40. When I first came into the industry, and that was only 10 years ago. It was a door knocking company. I've said it in the past, but I was doing bi-monthlies for, as low as $28 a service, and quarterlies were, right around, 40 $45 per service. And that was in 2014 when I first came in. A lot's changed since then. People aren't, charging that anymore, not in my experience, or not that anybody that I know of, at least. um, but that's the thing that you need to be aware of. Know your market, and find out what, I've called. I said it in the past. I called all the different companies, and I asked. I called off my wife's phone. And I gave them all my information as far as where I lived at and things like that. And but well, most of my information, street and stuff like that. But I asked one. I paid attention to how they answered the phone. I want to see if, it's like, hey, what's my competition? I got to know what they're at too. I want to see how well their customer service is, and what they're doing. Are they going straight into prices? Are they building value? All those things I paid attention to, and but then I would get the prices and I'd write it down. So I knew what everyone was charging. And for to be quite honest, I charge right around that, honestly, the exact same. So for me, my personal at Confidence Pest Control, our initial starts at about 150, depending on the home as well. If it's a home, that's 3,500 square feet, I mean 2 stories, and it's just massive, and it's by a pond or by the lake or something like that, where I know that I'm going to be spending the next couple of hours really de-webbing, doing the excellent job that I hold myself to. But to be able to do that type job is going to take me a while, and your time is worth everything. I just fired a couple of hotels because I wasn't making near enough money for my time spent there, and it's kind of a pain as well. But um, your time is valuable. That's what you have in the beginning, right? You can't outsource everything, so it's your time. So make sure you're using it wisely, and making sure that whenever you're doing those initials, that you account for that time. If you're going to be in a really high end area, really, or it's retired superstars. If you're like in LA or something like that, people a certain area, if you're in Dallas and you have a bunch of retired cowboys, you can expect and you can know that they're going to want a really good service and that they got some property, and so that it's going to take you a little while. So know your market, know your customer, all that, and base it on that. Your time spent. People say consider, obviously you want to consider your product and your gas to the place. If it's far away from where you're at in the beginning, charge a little bit more, so it's going to help cover that gas so that you make it worth it while you're there. Knock on those customer or those neighbors' doors so that it's especially worth it, because you can knock out 4 or 5 services in a day versus one, maybe two. Um, so all those things, take into effect, take into account, how to price those services like that. Um, so yeah, my initials are about 150, and my quarterlies are about 120. I have some bi-monthlies. I've picked those up from other customers what they were paying. I said, hey, I'll match certain things, and but usually it's around at 85 to about 99, usually for bi-monthlies. And so yeah, but like my annual contract value is right around 500. Is Yeah, $500, a little over 500. But that's if you were to look at bi-monthlies as well and things like that. So that's what I charge for my regular brand new customer. My property management companies, you're going to charge, and I say this depends on your market. I know another owner who he does all his property management companies for $99 for whatever, whatever they need. And whenever I did some research and I talked to the companies when I first got, became their vendor, we talked about that as well. And they showed me invoices from their past two pest control companies, and I just met in the middle. One was 99, one was like 135. So I said, all right, for 115, I'll do your general service. Just hey, they're having ants, go over there, do it. They have some wasps, go over there and do it. If they're having German roaches, that's a little bit higher. And again, you got to base that off of the size of the house, how bad the infestation is. But generally, my German roach problem or prices for that company, it makes me hesitant to, because I don't want, there are different prices that I'll charge depending on the service. So just make sure that it's tailored towards that specific account that you're doing. If it's a house that has really really bad, you might need to charge a little bit more. But for me, my German roach uh, service for those companies, for my property management companies, they start around 199. And what I do with that is usually a 3-part service. The first part is the initial. I do a clean out. I dust. I open up the electrical outlets. I dust inside. I treat the interior real well. I bait as well. So it's a really thorough service. I mean, that's where most of my that's where my money comes in. That's where I make my money, is on that first service. And then on that second service, I come back in 2 weeks, and it's just a checkup on there. I might need to touch up something, but usually by then it's pretty well. And then that third service is just to go back and make sure that there's nothing. I have my glue boards down to monitor, and usually by then problem is solved. If it's more than that, then you talk with the owner, you discuss it, and charge charge what you think is appropriate. For my regular customers, it's usually around 250 to 299, and it's the same process. But that's what I charge. There's other people that charge less. There's people that I know that charge more. It's really dependent on you. What do you find? How much value do you put in your stuff? And I think for what I also believe I'm fair, and I want to be. I've told you all the time I'm trying to help people. So it's crazy, if you're in some of the pest control groups on Facebook and things like that, somebody will ask that question, and there's always these dudes that are like, nope, you're charging way too much. I'm, for my German roach problems, I'm charging a minimum of, $4.99, and I'm, going. I'm not using that much product. My time is valuable, but I don't think. I mean, I'm not trying to, I don't. I think highly of myself as well, but 4.99 to me is a little outrageous. But unless you're doing a duplex, a fourplex, and base all those things off of it as well. I've done a 16 unit apartment building, and I did that one for I think like 4,000. again, some dude would have said, no, I'm only doing it at 10,000 minimum. I was able to do it my time and the product, the amount of product I use. For me, it was more than worth it. I was able to make a really, it was, you know, those are those days when you're just like, man, I love what I do, just because you're able to solve a problem and get paid pretty well for doing so. So it was awesome. But that's what I do for the property management companies. I honestly haven't had to do bed bugs at all. I was offered one, and at the time I was brand new, and I had done them in the past, but it was always with heat. Um, and then I didn't have any bed covers or anything like that. So I want to do a really great job, and so I said no, I don't do it. Since then, I really haven't had any other bed bug calls. Um, so I couldn't tell you. I mean, honestly, if you're going to do that, just call other companies, or if you're at a company right now, see what they charge and charge the same, man. I mean, it's pest control is pretty the same across the board as far as we're all in a truck or van. We're all in a certain uniform. We're all supposed to de-web. I mean, I hope you're treating for pests. It's all very very similar. Most of the trucks look similar. You see a rig or you see guys with backpacks. So pest control across the board is very similar. It's cut and dry. Hey, you have an agreement, a contract, no contract. You charge less or more. You specialize in termites. You specialize in mosquitoes. Whatever. I mean, it's all pretty similar across the board. But finding your own way to be different is that you know that that's what gets you customers. I mean, the customers are going to come. You gotta know that. But try to get in front of them and find ways to be different. Um, and it could be with your prices. So, you know, I mean, charge what you think is worth it. Like I said, call other companies and find out what they're charging, and say, hey, I can beat that price and still make money, still make a profit, and be like, oh yeah, if they're charging 120, I can come undercut them and do it for $80, and you could, but just remember that at the end of the day, those customers that are leaving for your lower price and all the value you want to bring them, they're gonna have high expectations, and the people who only care about price, they'll stay with you. But as soon as somebody shows up with $79, they're gonna go and save that extra dollar. So be wary of that, and then it just becomes a price. You're just cutting prices, and before you know, you're paying. You're charging for $40 a quarterly, and you just don't want that. Because think about once you have technicians, how much you're gonna have to pay them. I mean, so take care of the industry as well. Don't go around offering super cheap prices, as the industry, it hurts us all. So if you're going to be cheap, then be you can be cheaper than everybody without being super super cheap, and just respect the industry, and high tide raises all ships. So we're all doing good and we're charging. Then if you have five companies out there that are charging 120 and doing a great service, I mean, you can come into that market and say, hey, I know that even though I'm brand new, I can do just as good a job as them. And so now, instead of having to start real low, you can be right there at that 120 mark with everybody else, and then just find a way to differentiate yourself so that they're choosing you. They're all paying 120, fair price for a great service. And but you find a way to stick out. And like for me, I'm in the process of some big change, or yeah, some changes. But people look at my logo and it's not a pest, it's not a spider, a scorpion, or anything like that. It's you know lion. That's my favorite animal. My son was a big, he said that's the one he wanted. And the shield is also to protect. I'm confident. The name of my company is literally Confidence Pest Control. So I thought, what better than that, than the Lions? And which is funny because we're also the Lions in my son's flag football. We chose the Lions this year. No, I mean, and not because of this, just we like the uniforms, to be honest. Um, but that's one of the ways I differentiate myself. I'm not the guy who has all the bugs everywhere and dead rats and just holding up scorpions. Dude, I don't like touching bugs, man. I don't like touching rats. The last thing I want is to show, all these dead bugs and dead rats. Women who are on the website, they don't want to see that. But whenever they go on and they see pictures of my children and me and my son having fun and smiling and not just I don't know, with masks and making it look like we're just hurt, create or killing the environment with some of the things that they'll have out there, in hazmat suits. It's like, whoa, I'm not doing anything nearly that dangerous. So, they see that in the pictures and the way that the way that my approach is to pest control. And I'm not telling you to, use to do what I'm doing. I'm just telling you that that's the way that I come towards it and I approach it. Is I'm trying to be different from everybody else. I don't want to be, the same, bug guy that's just not me. And so yeah, I mean that goes into just everything. Like I said, when you have those prices, even when you're brand new, as soon as I started 120, that was my go-to. I knew that people were paying it. I knew that I could do as good a service as anybody. I knew that I could provide, as great, customer service as possible. Um, what's his name? From Turf Badger. Man, I can't. Jonas Olson. He always says, and I 100% agree that we're in the customer service industry. We just happen to kill pests. And so I knew that I could do a great customer service. I could provide a great customer experience. And so I went in charging 120. Some of the guys I know, they started at 90, 90 for the initial, 90 for quarterly, and just 90, just flat out. And hey, that's they started off that they thought that they should charge a little bit less. I started off right at 105 to 120. Honestly, they average about 120 though, and because I'll give a discount at $5 a month. And that's another thing that I do recommend you do before I get to the 20-minute mark on this video. I recommend monthly billing. Find you a CRM. I do think that was one of the questions in on one of those videos I made. I use field routes. I know that I want to grow. Hopefully, I can grow in the next few years and make it worth it. But I don't get charged that much. And so I use field routes, and that's the CRM. Use Gorilla Does. There's a lot that have all different types of, everything you need for your scheduling and your billing and all that. But I do monthly billing and I use field routes, like I said. Um, and see, even I'm working on the uhs and the ums. But the one thing I do recommend is monthly billing. With that, I don't get any skips, even in the wintertime. And I let them know in the beginning, hey, what I'm going to be doing is instead of paying 120 every month or every 3 months, I do monthly billing with the card on file at $40 a month. And so it breaks down that payment a little bit for the customer. And hey, when they see $40, but they know and they see their bank statement. This is my thought process. This is my wife's. The way that I've figured out a lot of customers have this this idea when they see their bank statement and they see $40 and then what's that $40? Oh, you know what? That's to make sure that I don't have any bugs and I can call him at any time and I'm good to go. They're already scheduled, they're scheduled every quarter, but monthly billing on the 15th of every month. Tomorrow I'll hit, I'll go into field routes, hit batch charge. I'll walk away and it just charges, one out of, right now I'm at like 165 customers, so it'll be like one out of, let's say, 120 of them that already have a card on file. A lot of them pay through check, but they're on auto pay, and it just charges one by one, and 10, 15, 20 minutes later, I come back and there's a nice deposit, and it deposits into my business account, the next day, just about. And so that monthly billing, though, and it's recurring revenue every single month. And no, I mean, and I did some customers that switched over today, for example, and they pay every 3 months. It's going to happen. Some people just don't want monthly billing, and hey, if it's that big of a deal, then hey, just bill after service. That's fine. A lot of them already. There's a lot of retired people in my area, so they're already used to that. Every 3 months, this is my budget. They have it planned, and so if that's the case, then just stick with it. But for new customers, say, hey, we do monthly billing on the 15th of every month. You're going to get billed this amount, and but I'll be out every 3 months. And be sure you explain that to them, because some don't understand. And so try to be as clear as possible. I still get phone calls with new customers all the time saying, hey, I thought it was every 3 months, but I'm getting paid, I'm getting billed monthly. Or, hey, I got billed and you didn't do the service this month. No, I do quarterly service and monthly billing. And so just, work on explaining that and make sure that the customer understands. But I do recommend you do that, just because it is recurring revenue every single month. And every month it grows too. That's the other cool thing is, their initial services this month, and the next month you see them on monthly billing. And so it's just, I 100% recommend it. They don't cancel the appointments. I have no, I have I don't know when the last time I actually just canceled an appointment just because they were like, no, I don't need it in the winter. Last year, it was my first winter, and this is going into my second. And but there's times when the bugs just aren't bad. But hey, they're already paying for it monthly, so you get out, it gives you the chance to build value in front of that customer. Dust your voids. Treat the inside during the winter time, things like that. Whatever you need to do, but they see that and they're already paying monthly, and so yeah, they don't, and so they won't cancel that service. Whereas if you're paying after the service and you say, hey, you're scheduled in December, they're trying to save for presents or for Christmas. And they're trying to keep, every dollar matters, in the world we live in. So if they're going to say, oh, you know what, if I don't get the service, I don't have to pay. Let's go ahead and skip this one, come back in another 3 months. And you can fight that battle. And one, you're going to upset the customer because they're like, no, I don't want the service. I'm not going to pay if I don't get the service. I'm telling you no. And then you kind of look like, you might look like an asshole to them in their eyes, just because you're kind of trying to force that service, and you just seem money hungry. And so that's how they could take it. And I'm not saying that's how it is. Some people might have an excellent way of, getting through to them. I can help with that as well. I was always pretty decent about getting the services complete. Just kind of letting them know how important it is to stay on regular maintenance. But you can avoid those issues whenever you have that monthly billing. They already know, hey, they already paid last month on the 15th. The month before, they're going to pay this month. And and if they really don't want the service or not, hey, they're paying every month. It's on auto pay, and you're not scamming them. You're not doing anything. It's just you let them know, and they sign the agreement on the 15th of every month. It shows them on field routes, on the invoice, and on the paperwork what months that they'll be getting charged. And if it's every quarter, you'll see it in January, then in April, then in July, and so on. But for mine, it's every month, but you see that it's $40 every month. And so that's my piece of advice that I will say. If you're going to take anything with you whenever you start your company, start monthly billing from the beginning. It makes everything so much more simple. You don't have any skips. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about anything. And then you just hit batch charge on whatever CRM you're using. I'm sure they have that option, and you're good to go. But I hope that answered most of y'all's questions. I know that I tend to get a little bit long-winded, and I apologize for that. But I really enjoy doing these things, and I really, really enjoy all the support and people commenting and all the engagement. So keep it up, and I'll do my best to continue to make these videos. Again, if there's anything you have specific that you want to hear about, let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, man, y'all take it easy, keep grinding, and as always, stay confident.